So another type of trust that people might be a little bit concerned about with these changes is testamentary trust, because that's also copped a bit of discussion in the press. So again, remember, a testamentary trust is a trust, has to be written into a will. So it's already defined within the will. So it depends on what the will says, essentially. But a testamentary trust is a trust that's set up as part of an estate. So someone's passed away, the will says, hey, rather than pass all the assets to my beneficiaries, I want them to be held in trust with these rules associated. So now it really depends on what those rules say. But there's, again, two types of trust. There's a discretionary trust, where the trustee can determine who and when to give income or capital to. And there are fixed trusts, where the entitlements are fixed. And hybrids are some sort of combination of those. Testamentary trusts that are discretionary do appear to be caught up in these rules. That seems to be most likely the case. Again, we'll need to see the detail when it comes out. So what that means is, if you've got a number of children under 18, is where the tax planning version of testamentary trust has really been used in the past. But again, I would caution and say that the reason to have a testamentary trust in a will is not tax planning. There are some potentially limited minor benefits for that. The main reason testamentary trusts are used as part of estate planning is for protection. And I'll give some quick examples of why that can be the case. But a testamentary trust that is discretionary, you might have, say, 4 grandkids, and you want to distribute that income. If they're all under 18, they can all use a tax-free threshold and be taxed as adults up to sort of 18,000. As soon as someone hits 18 and starts earning their own money, they're now less useful from that tax planning scenario. So it's not uncommon for testamentary trusts to use up all the minors first and then use everyone else over 18. But obviously, someone has to pass away, leave an asset base for children who are significantly under 18 for there really to be too many years worth of getting that benefit. So again, testamentary trusts from a tax planning point of view have either been for very, very wealthy people for maybe a decade or so, or really people with relatively young children are useful for, say, maybe 5 years or so. So from a tax planning point of view, again, as a statistical category, testamentary trusts have become quite popular. But in terms of individual people getting decades worth of tax benefit out of testamentary trust, that's really just not the case. So that's not really going to change. You can, of course, use the option, again, depending on how the will is written, etc., and certainly the wills that we are involved in setting up will almost always have this provision to ensure that a testamentary trust can be in fixed entitlements, right? So the simplest way to deal with these rules potentially will be just to make sure that in the event of a testamentary trust being invoked, is that we just go for the fixed option. That should already be part of a well-drafted testamentary trust precedent in terms of a will. So we can certainly go through that in due course with each of you. But from a testamentary trust point of view, you don't have to worry about that structure or the will necessarily needing to be rewritten because of the change of these rules. There should already be provision in a well-drafted will for that to be the case. So yeah, as far as wills go, there's not necessarily a need to change that.